Hello, everybody. Welcome to Watch Brush Podcast. I'm your host, the Evil Ed Six, the Crafted World, and joining me is the Wisconsin Horror Net, Mr. Jesse Douglas.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
And we have all candy, no spooks, Bossman himself, Cody.
Hello, I am delicious and sweet and not scary.
Yes,
right,
and
like
in the
candy?
background. Oh, sorry. In the background, we see Lennon on.
Did he go?
Yeah, our Arsenal X mascot. Which you know what? I gotta throw the X because this feels like an old Arsenal X podcast. Why you not gonna throw it up?
I'm promoting the show. There.
Yes, there you go.
I tagged you twice. See, you messed me up so much that I tagged you twice in this post on Facebook.
Yes. How you guys doing? This is kind of like an old school Boss Rush / Code NX Clash Nintendo Pop Black / Arsenal.
Oh, you mean like everything we used to do by ourselves all the time ever?
Yeah.
I just want to say it's been really nice having just like a big group of people to rely on now. It's made everything so much easier.
Well, yeah, and and it's just it's been kind of nice having some other people's opinions and like honestly, like I've been having so much fun doing Arsenal X. Like we have a good team on there, and doing this with other people as well has been a lot of fun. And,
yeah,
the PlayStation show is amazing, and and Tower Casuals, I've been trying to listen to that and stuff, and some of our other shows.
Speaking of Tower Casuals, this week we had a doozy. We had a 2-hour doozy this week on our half-hour Destiny show. 2-hour doozy, everybody. No, it's been even after everybody's kind of joined and found their place and everything. This past week, for every single show except for one, it's been the highest downloaded show of every single show except for one, which was Crossroads. But I don't really know if I count that yet because it's still kind of a newish show.
Yeah.
And like the highest rated show is the PlayStation 4 information dump show. So like that, I don't even know if that counts either. So. But yeah, this week was the highest downloaded show for every single show we do. So not only are we growing personnel wise, but we're growing download wise, and it's really fun. And like I can't believe, like, if you think about it, it's been almost a year since the three of us started this, right?
Mm-hmm.
A year ago. Yeah. Now starting. Like renaming it the Boss Rush Podcast from NX Show and bringing back Arsenal X and Pal Block and stuff. Like,
yeah.
Sitting here a year ago, is this where you thought we would be a year ago?
Not really. I think it's kind of weird actually when you think of how our 1v1s kind of ended up being instances. Like us just talking to different content creators and connecting to be like. Reaching out, be like, you guys would be a good fit if you guys feel like joining us, making content, and look where we at now. We like Drake said, started from the bottom, now we here. But it's been like, the content that we've been creating with other people, just even with 1v1 and stuff. It's just been a fun ride. Everybody's been laughing. There's been so much positivity. And even our discussions and stuff, the viewpoints and opinions have been great because maybe it might represent some listeners and another viewpoint might represent different listeners stuff. It's been such a ball to do. And yes, I'm not on every podcast, but I think
even though you want to be.
And you know what? I'm guilty of that. It's that creating content just like I want to join in the fun. But like I said, I always blame it on my son. Like, I'm an Aries. I'm always want to create stuff. But it's been fun, listening, hearing you guys on Arsenal X Talk, hearing the crew on Crossroads, and everybody hearing me on Power Block, and even hearing on this podcast and talking to everybody, and even talk to Walking, hopefully recapping, just doing content and getting it out there with a whole bunch of great creators and just having a ball and having fun showcases what Boss Rush is. Is that it's that yes, we all play games, we all play certain games, and sometimes it may be one game or stuff, but we always show how being positive helps you be better.
Yeah, and this is bigger than us in a lot of ways. It's just like, we, we may have kind of started doing this and stuff together, and talk about games, and a lot of people talk about games, but with us trying to do something different and get more people to come in and have more opinions, and like you said, have people that might relate to someone who listens or whatever more than we do, or whatever is is a fun thought, and that's it's just fun in general. I mean, I'm such a fan of just podcasting, and I listen, like I said, I have 42 different shows on my podcast app that I mean, that's why I have such a hard time, because I want to listen to certain things during certain times of the year, or some of them are I used to listen to every single episode every week, as they came out. But with having so many different interests, it's been really, really hard, because there's no way that anyone could listen to, 42 episodes a week, of that many shows. Well, I mean, I even have a job where I can listen to podcasts while I'm doing my job, and I still don't have the time to do it. Yeah. But I mean, I just love it in general, and I love that we have more people and stuff on the shows, because it makes it just as fun for us to do it as it does for people who are listening or whatever.
Yeah. Plus, I feel like especially with Arsenal X and the Crossroads and stuff, there's a new energy, right? There's just a new energy to those shows, which I think Logan and the Ron and the Crossroads crew is doing a fantastic job. That show had a banger right out of the gate, right? I mean, I do kind of feel bad that, Brody had to drop out of the project, but I kind of filled in a couple episodes, and then now adding Austin from Land Party and having that dynamic already kind of baked in and stuff, and the way Logan and the Ron are kind of handling the PlayStation content on their own is really, I mean, like I said, our first episode of anything we did wasn't that good. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, they've been doing content for a while and know how to podcast and everything, but still, you never know when you get four people that have never done work together, together and to do a show like that. And it's, that show has just been a great addition. And then, Logan is bringing Trash Talk over here, so we have a different type of show, not necessarily just games, but sports, and Ed with recap with movies, and expansion pack coming, and like I said before we started recording, I had a 2-hour meeting with Logan and Joe, Colonel Panic from Arsenal X, and we had a big meeting about video content and kind of what we want to do, and some of it's going to have a comedy angle. Some of it's going to be stuff for parents, because, a lot of us on this team are parents or older gamers with nephews or nieces, or, just kids in our lives in general. And that's kind of a direction that we want to take that kind of stuff too. And it's just been really fun to see how I kind of envision this going, and then other people's ideas that make better sense for certain things. You know what I mean? So
yeah, no, like that I was gonna say, like it's almost made like us try to be better too, because we have more ideas that are more influence that's inspiring and stuff, inspiring us, and maybe making us think of things in other ways that we weren't before, or whatever, like that. I definitely believe that having a bigger group of people and not just keeping it to a smaller group of people who talk about things, definitely does make something better. And I think that's kind of why we kept, like, you were like, like, I would like to have 3 people on each show or 4 people on each show instead of just the 2 or whatever, because it does make it better, I think, when you have more opinions or more views on something.
Plus,
there's a deeper conversation that can be had.
Yeah, plus, like, it makes it easier if 2 people, like, if you have if you have 2 people on a show and they're not into the same things, or having that back and forth about a topic, like, it's harder. But when you have 3 or 4 people, like on Arsenal X, when people were shooting back and forth about Destiny, I mean, it's been a lot easier now because we all pre-ordered the Series X, and like we have a new console to talk about and everybody's excited. But like, when that eventual hype wears off and we go back to talking about, oh, well, 2 people are playing Halo, a couple of people are playing Destiny, some people are playing, Ori or whatever, something else, and some people aren't. It makes that conversation better because you have more minds to handle that conversation than to, than everybody just having to feel like they have to keep up with everything,
Yeah, very true. So like when we talk about like what we've been playing, there's like the listeners will also be getting more options of things that they can kind of learn about that maybe they didn't check out or whatever, things like that. So
which we'll probably be discussing later on, because diverse gaming, I think diverse gaming kind of represents us just as Watch Rush in general, that we're all diverse players and we all play different things. So when we're bringing something that people are familiar with or some people are unknown and they should try out, we, depending on what podcast that you're listening to, you may get that trial. We got Talk the Walk with walking simulators. Who would think about that? Any of us playing walking simulators, but you play it and you really find out some really good stuff, and having that discussion is really good and stuff. And yes, I play the wacky Japanese games and stuff, but I have an outlet where I could talk about that and maybe get people involved into playing this stuff. Corey's playing Destiny, Marvel's Avengers. Jesse, you and then the way that you play Rainbow Six and Fortnite, but you also play other games. And LeBron, like, we call him our Monster Hunter expert, but we know that he is also tech heavy. Logan and Austin, they play a lot of different games. Nelly likes Resident Evil, but she streams other games and stuff. Celeste, she'll play Clubhouse games and some like really laid back stuff, but she also like platformers and other things. Josh, he plays Destiny a lot. Carl, he's that Halo expert and he plays that, but there's also other games that probably everybody can enjoy and play. But before we get into that, because we got to get more into the show and talk some more Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony and everything. This is Watch Rush podcast episode 65. You guys can check us out each and every week. We come together to talk about games and everything we love about them with our friends. You can join us live on Saturdays at 1:30 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/WatchRushGames live and be a part of the conversation. But if you can't join us live, no big deal. You can head over to youtube.com/WatchRushGames and WatchRushGames.com to watch the show or listen on your podcast service choice. Remember to subscribe, follow, rate, and review wherever you consume us. It helps us out with discoverability, and check out our family of shows whenever you listen to your podcast. And everybody, please check out the latest episode of Nintendo Power Block. We have a contest going on where you can win Pikmin 3 Deluxe. The rules are there. You just guys got to check it out. I got to get in touch with our good friend Dan, because hopefully we could deliver you guys, if you have Super Mario Maker for Switch, that do some Halloween levels will be out there to play. I'm actually going to post one for you guys to try out. So hopefully you guys like it. And I'm going to be, hopefully, I've been playing it, and like, I'm like, man, creating levels is so good. And Dan's Legend of Zelda level was so cool. It was so good. But hopefully we could get that out to you guys who have it. We're going to try to get you guys one like every Monday or sometime during the week that you guys could check out for this Halloween. And if you guys in the community, if you have any Mario Maker levels that you want us to try and talk about, or you want to make spooky levels, let us know. You can post it on our Twitter page at that retro podcast.
I mean, you can send it to at that retro code if you want to.
Yeah.
We'll just make Ed play them all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I will play them. But yeah, we would like to actually get you guys Mario Maker levels for October. Like, make it spooky or whatever you feel comfortable with. I would definitely love to play them. And here at Boss Metro, we would love to play them. Hopefully, anyone who has a game is willing to give it a try. Just saying. But we're going to get into our gaming get down real quick before we get into our mini boss talk. So Corey, I'm going to start with you. We're going to all come with one game.
One game? Sure. That's not. Yes. No. Why? I'm actually playing more than one game this week.
One game. Okay. So Corey is an exception because
I'm playing a lot of games.
What are you playing, Corey?
So.
Okay, sorry to get it down.
Oh. Don't worry, it's not COVID. I just swallowed wrong. It's okay. I'm alright. Okay, so I've been playing some Destiny 2. Playing a lot of Destiny 2. Really grinding and not really accomplishing anything because, it's Destiny 2 and the new expansion was supposed to be out. And I'm just waiting for the new expansion. But I have been playing two other games really pretty hard. I've been playing a lot of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. Game is amazing. Yeah, Tony Hawk 1 and 2 is amazing. It is. I would almost go as far as it is the best remake of the generation. I would go that far. Though I haven't played Final Fantasy VII Remake, but I hear that's pretty good too.
Yeah,
but
I may have to actually pick that game up. So
I'm waiting. I'm waiting because supposedly it's coming to Xbox in March, and I'm waiting for the Xbox version. By the way, I retired my PlayStation 4 this week. Put it in a box, put it downstairs. Still considering getting rid of it, but I don't want to until I know the PlayStation 5 is completely backwards compatible and my saves can move over, which by all accounts it is not. So, waiting on that. But Tony Hawk, guys, is it's so much fun. Like, by the way, it still bothers me that this game isn't on Switch because it's the perfect Switch game, I feel like. But besides the point, I love just going in and trying to do all the tricks, and the muscle memory I have for this game is still there, and it's just amazing. It's just amazing. I love this game. The other game I've been playing pretty hardcore actually is this little brick breaking game on Switch. It just came to Switch. It was on PlayStation platforms first because it's based on the PlayStation podcast Sacred Symbols Twin Breaker. I've been playing a lot of Twin Breaker, and tell you what, it was $8 on Switch, and I bought it, and it is highly addicting. I know a lot of people have a lot of different feelings about Colin and Chris and that whole team, but I like them and I like their game and I bought their game and it's very good. So
I didn't even know they made one.
Yeah, he owns a studio now, an indie studio.
Colin.
And he's going to specialize in like 16-bit, like Super Nintendo style games. So he's writing a JRPG in the vein of Final Fantasy VI also. So that'll be interesting to see. But I've been playing a lot of that, and it's like right up there at this point with Puyo Puyo Tetris and games that I switch between before I go to bed. It's just it's really fun. I know like a lot of people have a problem with him. I don't really know why, but that's not what we're here to talk about. I just, I like his stuff and I like his game. So that's it though. Since Ed only told me I could talk about 2 games.
Yeah, the brick breaker type kind of games are always fun. It's like Tetris. It's very simplistic, but it's so easily just kind of like when you're in the mood for a game like that, it just hits the spot.
Yeah,
for whatever reason.
There's actually levels in it where you have 4, like the first level you have 2 little sliders at the bottom. There's levels where they add 4, and you have to like L2 and the left stick control 2 paddles, and right stick and R2 control 2 paddles, so you have 4 going on at the same time, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is awful, but also awesome.
Dude, one of my favorite games is the one that I had on my my mini iPod, where it was a circular brick breaker. Like where you had a circle thing and you'd move around and you had to keep them going and like bouncing off like the walls and stuff like that. Yeah. And you'd breaking everything, and there was like power-ups that would turn your ball into like a fireball that would just bust through bricks like instantly. And yeah, it was really fun because, like you had the round circular pad thing that are on the iPods, and so when you would circle around that, it would move it, the circle bumper, and like you get things where it would make the bumper bigger or ones that would make it sticky, so anytime the ball hit it, it would stick to it, and then you could push a button to shoot it off where you wanted to. Yeah, I used to play that thing all the time. Like I think I used my iPod more for playing stuff than I did the listening.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Playing that, I mean. But.
Yeah, I have played a little bit of the trial of the Star Wars Squadrons game, but we'll talk about it tomorrow on Arsenal. Okay. Since Ed said I could only talk about 2 games. No, and I've talked about 3.
I said you could bring one, but you are the exception because you haven't really, been able to talk about games that you played. So
that's how it's been for me too.
I'm about to play the backhand of my hand to your face.
Block.
By the way, I watched this really funny video and I thought of you the other day, Ed. It was I don't know if you've ever looked up Street Fighter in real life.
I think I have.
You should look it up. It's hilarious. And I was like, Ed would be dying. Ed would be dying at this video because it's so funny.
I think I've seen that.
I have to find it.
Don't they have a whole series?
Yeah.
Don't they have a whole series of like things in real life?
Yeah.
I know when this one comedian, he's doing like Street Fighters characters who are trying to travel. He's like a travel agent, and so he has to ask some questions, and so he got other comedians to play as characters for it. And it's so funny because they did like Gao, Dalzil, Zangief, and it's just like literally funny. I'm like, I have never thought of Street Fighters being in a travel agency trying to go to another state so they can fight.
I sent it.
But
I sent it to the Facebook group chat that we're in. So
Nice.
okay,
just
Okay.
watch. It's
Yeah,
so
I'll
funny
definitely
because they add
Jesse.
all the sound effects from the game. It's just it's so
Jesse, what have you been getting down to?
So yeah, I'm gonna talk about two things just because like yeah, Fortnite. I've been trying to grind away at that. I finished the gold unlocks and man, I've never been so frustrated with a game like I was when I was trying to unlock Wolverine for as a playable character because so like you had to beat Wolverine out in the woods or like wherever he was just walking around, but he can do a self regeneration of health. And I don't know, I must have played like 30, 40 games of matches of that until I finally unlocked them because like at first when I played I was playing solo, so I would be trying to beat him, which he's already kind of difficult to beat by yourself, and then have 30 other people shooting at me while I'm trying to kill him because everyone's trying to kill each other so they can be the last one left to finish him off so they can get the achievement and get unlock him as a playable character. And so it is just pure chaos. And so then me and my friend Pat the other day had teamed up in the morning and we were playing and dude, like I had kept on running into him, like multiple times, but every single time something stupid would happen where I would just barely, fail from killing him because like one time he was down on the ground crawling, which in the game, if you've ever played it before, once you down someone, they just stay there and then you have to finish them off. Well, I downed him and then I was going to reload my shotgun, and since he has self regeneration, he can self revive.
Yeah.
So he started getting back up again as I'm loading it, and then he killed me, and I'm like, son of a... like I was so furious, dude, because it's just infuriating. It like having to deal with everyone plus trying to deal with him. So yes, but we did eventually do it and got it. But man, was that one of the most stressful moments I think ever in gaming, trying to do that. So yeah, like I was playing that, but this morning I'm like, I'm really in the mood to go back to Battletoads. And so before I went to bed this morning, I played a bunch of that. I played a couple, like a level or two of that, a couple. Well, there's a couple of sections. I played like a whole entire.
Can I say, and I think me and you talked about this, Jesse, I think that game is going to come to Switch. I think it's in need to come to Switch because
yeah. It is kind of like a Nintendo game where I feel like it, like the art style and all that would the game wouldn't lose anything from like being a different what is it like not being in 4K or whatever, like it's something that would look perfectly fine on a Switch, and I feel like it would run perfectly fine.
Actually, me and one of my Twitter friends, Laura, we was actually talking about Microsoft and Nintendo like working together, and I could see this game fitting on Switch because it feels like Ori 2, yes, it did fine, but it felt like it got ignored. But people were hyped that it came to Switch.
Yeah.
Cuphead went straight to #1 in pre-orders, and it felt like when you think of Cuphead, everybody who wanted that game on Switch got it. It's still like we bought it again, so it feels like when Microsoft puts something on Switch, it feels like it's a second chance and it does better. And I think, even though some people don't like this Battletoads or they think it's okay, I feel like if it comes to Switch and they change some things, they fix some things, I think it may be a better seller on it. It's so weird. I just feel it.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think honestly, like just from what I've heard, I don't think I've really heard anyone who's hated or did not like the Battletoads game. I think it's for a lot of people, it's just like either it just kind of goes over their head because it's just wasn't something they grew up with or whatever. But I feel like most people have just been like, yeah, it's it's fine. Like it's not a bad game. It's just, but I think it's like very entertaining. Like I just love the like banter and stuff, and the story and the humor of the game is good, and I love that they, like, even though it's a beat 'em up, they throw in puzzle solving.
Yes.
Kind of, similar to like a platformer where, where you'd have to collect certain things, or you have to, do certain things. Like there's certain things hidden in the map that you have to interact with in order to unlock, later down the line, something that gives you one of the collectibles. And like I really like how they've done that in this game, and I really like the story in it. I think it's entertaining. I think it's a funny game. Like they do good with the humor for sure in it. Like I don't know, it's just,
if they made a cartoon out of this, I would watch it.
I totally would. Like it does. It almost brings back memories of like why I liked like Turtles and stuff like that. Like
that's exactly what it does. It reminds me of that second run of Ninja Turtles, not the original cartoon, but the one they did after that was on like Fox Kids or whatever. Like it really reminds me of that kind of humor.
Yeah.
When they left CBS or when they went to, because of different places, it might be different.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I really like this game, and I honestly think it's way better than the originals.
Oh yeah.
100. Way.
I mean
way,
that bar isn't
better.
very high though. Let's be honest. But
and this. Yeah, because Jesse, I was thinking of, because I think I got to go back and get a list of what first party games I'm missing for Xbox. Because I know Grounded, I'm waiting on, because it's early access, and I think I'm waiting for the full game for that.
Well, I have Game Pass. I have Game Pass open right now. Let's go find out.
But I think I have most of Xbox's first party, like Quantum Break, Killer Instinct, where we played the Gears games. I think I have all of that. I think I'm just missing Battletoads. I'm missing. I don't know why I didn't pick that one up. I think I was waiting for the physical for Bleeding Edge. But
there is one, isn't it? $40? Because the game was $30 digital. I think there's a $40 physical edition.
It may be. I'll have to go and look. But is that all you've been playing, Jesse?
Yeah, that's all I've been playing right now. Like I said last time, and like I'm just trying to finish the Battle Pass. Yeah, Battle Pass stuff, and then I'm gonna start playing a whole bunch of different stuff. I'll honestly probably be, like I told my son, I said, once I'm done doing all this, I'll be done with Fortnite for probably another 3 years again, and then I'll talk about in 3 years how I got the Battle Pass again.
I do have to say that if I did have the time with Fortnite, this would have been the Battle Pass I bought and played through. Like this would have been the one. I don't know. I almost bought the Captain America skin, but then it was $25. I'm like, that's gross. No thanks. Pass.
The work of the devil.
It got you 2 skins. It got you I think it's the shield glider, like the glider, but it looks like Captain America's shield, and then like some sort of, what was the pickaxe that came with it? I don't know. It got you a whole bunch of stuff, but still, $25 is a lot.
It gave you the Super Nintendo Captain America video
and
game.
it gave you it gave you the emote where he'd stand like up tall, and then you'd see fireworks going off, red, white, and blue fireworks behind them.
Yeah, and then
I still think the best paid DLC is the Mario Kart $12 season 1, and maybe Hyrule Warrior. I think that's like the best DLC that I've paid for.
I mean, the Mario Kart DLC on Wii U for $12 was really good.
Yes,
but
soon it will be the Alan Wake.
I got it.
Content for Control once I have my Series X and I'm gonna, because I want to get that for Series X.
Jesse, can we just talk about Series X real quick? How excited I am about that stupid console. I haven't been able to play my Xbox One X since I watched those Digital Foundry videos, and watching every single game that struggles to run at 30 on my Xbox running at a clean 60 frames with no problem. And almost no load times. It's like, I'm ready. I'm ready for this box.
I haven't gotten a chance to watch all the Digital Foundry stuff yet, but but Beastcast, they, Jeff Bakalar got one, and he's been testing it and getting to see how it performs. And some people on other shows have that I listen to, and so far it's like nothing but like positive.
For the backwards compatible stuff. Well, let me get to my games real quick.
What, Corey?
I totally rickrolled the Crossroads group chat, because somebody posted on Facebook that PlayStation 5 got delayed to 2021, and they had just like this. It looks like a statement like from PlayStation, but it's just the lyrics to the song. So I copied it, like I saved the photo and put it in the Crossroads group chat. I'm like, guys, PlayStation 5 delayed to 2021. And then Logan, then 5 seconds later, Logan replies, I hate you so much. It was awesome.
Wow.
It made me so happy.
Well, let me get to my games real quick.
I've seen that and other things too.
So, for Switch, I've been playing Hades and Breath of the Wild. I did download the Mario 35, but I gotta try it. Installed Neo 2 and Code Vein on PlayStation, but I've been playing more some of that. And then for Xbox, installed Code Vein also for that. And finished Vanquish on the stream and played Dead Space. Getting closer to that. So that's the only thing I've been getting down to. I'm trying to get down a lot of my PlayStation Xbox stuff before Series X and PlayStation 5 before I get it.
I'm ready for these new boxes. Like, I didn't think I was going to be, and I'm like, I was totally fine with everything, and like playing Destiny is fine. I mean, let me just tell you what I watched on Digital Foundry, and then stuff that they showed off for Destiny specifically. Not Digital Foundry, but just random people talking about it in general.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse, I know you know this. How long it takes you to load to the character select screen in Destiny?
Yeah.
They had them running side by side. It was, one side was I think it was the Xbox Series X version on one side, and on the other side was the Xbox One version versus the Xbox Series X version. Man, these names. I can't wait till I can just retire my Xbox One. We don't have to talk about this anymore. From the time it took to get to the character select screen on Destiny on One X, they had already loaded into the game, gone to the tower to get some bounties, and loaded into the Cosmodrome and started a mission before you got to the character select screen.
Yeah, all the backwards compatible stuff, everybody's surprising. Like you said, Corey, how fast it is. It's like it's close to like being like 9 to 11 seconds, depending on which game. With the loading stuff, and it's kind of like turning a CD game into a cartridge game, in a sense, CD/digital game, turn it to like a cartridge game that just loads up real quick and everything.
I mean, it's more like old school cartridge games, because like Zelda still takes a while to load into. I mean, there's a lot that they're loading into, like into that, and like I get that the Switch is different than obviously these new boxes, but like I think if you're comparing like you said, old school like PlayStation 1 versus N64 load times is like this is that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And me and Jesse was talking about this yesterday night, and then we're gonna get into our mini talk. Was that it's good that all the backwards compatible stuff is working and looking good, but now people are getting to the point where are the Series X games? And I think I was telling Jesse, I'm like, I think a lot of that is under embargo until I would say
they'll probably start previewing them 2 weeks before the consoles come out, right?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking like reviews might drop the last week of October.
Well, you don't
what you're saying, Corey.
You don't want to blow your load all at once. Like now, get the specs out about the console, right? Get the backwards compatible stuff out of the way, and then leading up to launch, like maybe starting like 2.5 weeks before launch, you start like previewing a bunch of the different games. Like, okay, here's Gears Tactics, here's Destiny 2, here's Assassin's Creed Valhalla. You get those big ones in there, and then you like, or maybe like 2.5 weeks, you start talking about Game Pass, adding stuff to Game Pass, right? And then you start talking about, oh, here's our major games for our launch lineup. Here's our indie games. Here's our third-party partners and stuff, just to get people really hyped. Because, like, as far as I'm concerned, and I mean, even PlayStation shows I listen to agree with this, is like, Xbox is so far ahead of PlayStation at this point in terms of letting people get their hands on the consoles and stuff and play around with it and mess with it and stuff, to the point where I'm like, we were talking about this on Tower Casuals, I think, for just a little bit, where like we don't even know if PlayStation's UI stuff is ready to go. You know, I mean, you're gonna have to have a system update that first day anyway, right? But like, that's like, who even knows if their UI is finalized? Who even knows if like their console actually has a running operating system, a functioning operating system? I mean, they do, right? I mean, I'm not trying to be like drastic about it, but it's like, are they having problems like smashing bugs? Are they struggling to get backwards compatibility working? Are they struggling to get their menus to function, you know?
I think that's part of the reason why I think I always like how Microsoft does the UI stuff. They're constantly trying to improve things and update like what's on the previous console, and then they usually that finalized version of the previous console's UI ends up being, similar to what we see on the next, because remember at the end of the 360 era, that kind of like that kind of was almost, had a lot of inspiration into what the one had, when it came out. And they kind of always seem to do that, where they're constantly trying to improve upon making things easier for people, or making, because they do a lot of listening to what people have to say about, what they think about their products. And, like, I do think Sony does listen to a certain extent to its fan base, but I don't think there's quite the connection with their fan base as what there is with Xbox.
I mean, it definitely has.
I think Sony, with Sony, I think, I still think after that E3, when they did their last presentation, I think they had to rethink of how they're going to get their information out. Where Microsoft is at a point where they need to get as much information out as they can so they could be ahead, and try to win that face, that fan base back, or not fan base, to win those consumers who believed in Microsoft from the 360. Microsoft had to go full like head on, full out. And why you think a lot of their stuff and policies and just them as a company has changed, where Sony has been, we got the feedback, we see that what we need to work on, let's work on that. And when we're ready to strike, we will strike. Because you got to remember from the summer when was striking, they were striking in a positive manner. When Microsoft was striking, they were striking in a negative manner, in the fact of the reactions that they're still trying to win people's trust to bring them back to it. Not saying that they don't have it, but they have to. They had to really prove something to be like, this is the reason why you need to own a Series X. Now, this backwards compatible stuff that Digital Foundry do is a good thing for them. You know, I think Sony's going to come in hard this month, showing why you need a PlayStation 5, because they're already beating, in my opinion, Microsoft on games that people want to play, looking forward to. Where Microsoft, at this point in time, they have the power, they have the system, but they don't have the games yet. Because of this backwards compatible leading that, that's what people won't be very excited about until there is actual games of Series X that is running that people are looking forward to.
I mean, again, that is subjective, you know. Like I completely disagree. Like with all the stuff that, you know, that we have that's been announced that's coming out for Xbox, in my opinion, there's much more there for me that I'm gonna be interested in than on PlayStation.
I think the thing is, like, when you look at people different reactions to it, is that Microsoft is still working to get people back. I'm not saying that there aren't people who are excited about it.
I think you guys I get what you're saying.
I think you guys are both right. Like, I feel like people are not talking about Xbox launch games because, like, quite frankly, the games that they're kind of pushing out. I mean, Halo was going to be their big launch game, right? And it's not. Mm-hmm. So, like, and now they're positioning a third-party partner in Destiny 2 and a game that's been out on PC for 9 months, Gears Tactics, as their launch titles, which is fine. Like, I'm excited for Xbox players who get to play Gears Tactics, right? I'm stoked for Gears Tactics because what I played on PC was amazing, but I'm like, I need to play this on my couch. I can't play with. I just can't do mouse and keyboard stuff. I just can't. But you know, they don't have that killer title. But at the same time, Sony has a very niche title in Demon's Souls, which I don't think is going to be as great as people think it's going to be because it was the quote unquote first Souls game, right? And there's probably a lot of... Now, don't get me wrong, Blue Point's probably going to do a stellar job because they do a stellar job at everything they do, and making it the best possible version of that game it can be, but I still think people are going to get hung up on that. And Miles Morales is coming to PlayStation 4 also.
Well, it's... To me, I think when you mentioned...
And so is Sackboy's Great Adventure, which is like the game that I'm most excited for on PlayStation 5's launch.
To look at Demon's Souls, I think it's going to be the Nintendo Switch effect, like with Bayonetta and some of their past games, where people who finally get a chance to play it's going to be like, wow, I didn't know this was on here. And I think that's what Demon's Souls is going to do for PlayStation players who are trying this version for the first time to understand why people got into the genre. And we'll continue that one later because we gotta get into our mini talk because
we don't.
Not Bethesda. The crunch that the Nestle bar that is not an actual Nestle bar from CD Projekt Red. They announced that they are going into crunch for Cyberpunk 2077. And the internet and some people have really been upset about this, but we talked about, they're going to be compensating, and they're like kind of making up that they're going to be working 6 days in order to get this game ready to go. My question, really was that I put out there was I thought the game was done.
It is done. It's gone gold. This is for their day one patch and making sure things are running smoothly on day one.
That was what the crunch is for. Because that was my question about it. Were they crunches to get more bugs out, or were
I think it's just like quality polish is what they're calling it. I think
because that's what everybody was upset about, and I was wondering, did they ever break it down, or they just sent that one letter that they was talking about.
I mean, the head of the studio responded to this, saying like, yeah, it goes against everything that they did say at the beginning of development and whatever, but they also want to make a product that they're proud of and want it out on day one. And this is the first time they're self-distributing the game. Like, The Witcher was distributed by Warner Brothers over here, right? And you know, they wanted that to self-publish something is a big deal to a lot of studios, and this is the first time they're taking that leap, and they want it to be right, and they want it to go smoothly, and you know, if it takes crunch to do that before November or whatever the day it comes out, like, okay.
And we know in this industry that crunch is part, because even LeBron talked about it.
It's inevitable, right?
Like, they even talked about it. Like, crunch is part of this industry, and if you're going to be getting into video game design and stuff, crunch is going to be. You guys going to have to spend extra time to make sure that when the game comes out, it's ready to go. And we don't really know how crunch even affects like indie games, because you know they don't have the PR where they can announce that our team are crunching on this game. They'll just be like, we're delay it, go hide in the shadows, and we're ready to announce it when it's going to come out. It'll come out. I think this game is it's such an anticipated game, and just like you said, Corey, that they're publishing this as their first game.
Can I just lay out some facts for you about this game real quick, about this crunch, like what they're going through for this crunch and like how they're being compensated? Can I just...
That's part of the thing. When you have crunch, it's fine as long as people are being taken care of.
They are being paid. They are being paid overtime for every... I don't really know what European... Like, over here it's 40 hours, so I'm assuming it's similar in European ways, right? Like, they're being compensated 40 hours, or everything over 40 hours, or everything over whatever normal working time over there. They're being paid overtime. Not only that, they're getting 10% of the company's entire yearly revenue goes back to the employees in some sort of bonus, right? So last year they made the equivalent of $500 million US, which means every employee there, they employ roughly what they say, like 150 employees that are working on this game, 200 something.
I think so. Yeah.
I don't remember what it was, but whatever it was, it came out to being the average bonus would be, if everybody got the same amount, would be $50,000 US. $50,000 bonus per person.
That's like a year's salary.
Yeah. Dude, if this was my working environment, I would be taking a sleeping bag and getting 3 hours of sleep a night and be working my ass off.
And I think it's because this game is it's definitely going to sell well.
Dude, this game's gonna be probably one of the best selling games of the year, and it comes out in November.
Well,
I guarantee you this game is in the top 10 of the year.
It probably will be.
It'll be behind Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto 5, and every single sports game that came out this year.
Well, yeah, because it's going to be on PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. Because the next gen versions don't come out till next year, which I think more people are still going to go back and buy.
Theoretically,
if they haven't, if they're waiting on that game.
Well, theoretically, the Xbox and PlayStation versions are the same versions, right? They already said you get the free upgrade if you buy it, right? So I don't know if they're counting that as the same SKU or not. But besides the point, say they sell 5 million units, right? At average $60, right? That's so much money. That is so much money.
And I think a lot of people who jumped on it because they heard the word crunch, they think something negative is going to come out about it because of other companies who have done crunch stuff. There's been a negative connotation to it.
I just look, to me, like, not to sound like the old guy on this show, but like I just feel like somehow like this generation of not only gamers but and they just don't want to work for anything. They just expect things to be handed to them, and like nothing. LeBron and I had this conversation, and Logan had this conversation the other day, where like anything creative cannot be forced into a 9 to 5 working environment, right? Anything creative cannot be. Like there's times where on Boss Rush alone, I probably do that like within a week, right? Like I work on this like it's a second job, and like it's like some point in the near future I hope, I intend it to be, right? But like you can't if you want something to come out and you want to be extremely proud of it, you're not gonna you're gonna work on it as hard as you can, as long as you can. And that's also where like a good production team will tell their employees to, like, look, you've been working hard this week, you've been here like 10 hours a day, whatever, go home, like just take a day, go home, whatever, like we'll pick this up tomorrow. And like, yeah, sometimes that's a good choice and stuff, but like from all intents and purposes, like no employee at CD Projekt Red has come out and complained about having to crunch on this game. First of all, you ship like The Witcher 3 or this game
even before you go.
Let me just say. One second.
Just let people finish. Just let them finish.
No, I was going to say this because CD Projekt. I feel like CD Projekt Red got good measurement, and I think with this crunch, if you got good measurement, even you're doing this crunch, that means that your employees really look forward to working on this game.
Yeah, but even if they don't, even if this is like, they don't care about the work environment, if you ship The Witcher or Cyberpunk and put that on your resume, you can write your ticket to anywhere else you want to go when this game ships. You can be done with it, wash your hands of it. You have 6 weeks left. Like, if say somebody hates this job so much, but they have 6 weeks left, they're getting overly compensated for this game, like incredibly compensated. Like their bonus is 10 times the amount of the average income of that country, right? The average income of that country is just above $5,000 US. Like, I mean, I didn't know Poland was like that, I guess, poor of a country. Like I don't really pay attention, I'm not gonna lie, to anything really, but I just didn't realize
world economics.
Yeah, like I didn't know that country was that poor, but like you're being compensated. Your bonus is going to be 10 times that of the average yearly income of a citizen there. Like just stick it out for 6 more weeks, and you can write your ticket to any other studio you want to work.
And I like the honesty that CD Projekt Red has said that with this crunch, they are going to be compensated. They are going to be rewarded. We have never seen no company who has done crunch has said anything that's going to be coming good to their employees. We're not even Naughty Dog has said anything like that, and they had crunch and delayed The Last of Us Part 2. And everything. Like if EA did it, people would jump on EA's throats in a heartbeat. And so it's kind of weird that gamers now, at least CD Projekt Red was honest about it. And my thing was just like, I thought the game was done. I thought, I knew they were working on bugs, but I didn't know if they were crunching because they found new bugs and stuff. Because they were upset, and then there were some people just like, well, just delay the game. I'm like, they're not going to delay this big kind of game that's been in development for years. They're not going to try to delay it. They will make a patch for it, but you don't want this game to come out and it be like a 9.5 or 8.5. And when you have pre-ordered, got the collector's edition, looking forward to this game, and it lets you down. You don't want to do anything like that. This game, for some people, have to come out and be almost a perfect 10. And if you want that expectation, you got to accept the fact that these people got to crunch on this game to get it done. I have no problem with crunch. My thing is let us know.
I think as long as,
and make it feel genuine.
I just think as long as like your employees are treated respectfully and well, and like you're being compensated for that work, I don't see the issue, right? Like, I don't know, maybe we just have different work ethics than other people, right? Like I just feel like as someone who used to work like 12-hour shifts at a restaurant and 6 days a week, it's just like I mean, not that working in a restaurant is more difficult than creating a video game, right? But like, I just feel like the work ethic that we all have, especially doing this or in our real jobs or whatever, like, it's just, I just don't know why this is such a big deal all the time. I feel like it's a generational thing to get clicks on your website and say, oh, crunch is bad. People are working over 40 hours. Like, who cares? People work over 40 hours all the time and don't get compensated for it. Where are those stories at?
And I think that's the negative connotation that people don't get nothing from it and everything.
I had jobs where I had way more work than the time that I'm allotted and told I cannot get overtime.
Yeah.
So tell me what you do there.
Right.
Like, like when you have to get something done, but you don't have enough time and you're not allowed to work over. Like, I would much rather have the option to be given the time that I need or more than the time that, than I'm allotted, and work longer to get my job done right than have not enough time to do my job and feel like it's hopeless, like I have no choice.
And people who have worked retail in the holidays, you are still crunching because you got to get orders done. They'll actually, someone might call off or not show up. You got them, and they might offer you to, hey, if you could work, we'll give you overtime, and that's extra money. And people who need extra money, definitely during this time, you're gonna take in as much overtime as you can. So with them crunching at CD Projekt Red to get this game done, I think they're not doing it for the money. I think if the people are cool with it, the employees are cool with it, they really want to see this game get done so they can be proud of the work that they all came together and have done. That's why I feel like CD Projekt Red has did good with their management. It sounds like they got good management there, and they really care about the quality and polish. And if it takes this to get it done, they'll get it done. Go ahead, Jesse, you get the last word.
Yeah, so my thought with all this too, like the thing is like I feel like we're seeing a trend of companies trying to be a little bit more like out there and and just being transparent, which I think ultimately is really good for the industry in general, because not every, it's really easy to not understand how hard or difficult something is to do for a job. Like people do it all the time. Like, even just something as simple as what I do cleaning. And I clean like a school, like an area that's a school, and they do things in the classrooms that are just like, it makes my job harder, but I don't really get upset about it, because unless you're doing something, or like, you don't know when you're setting up a classroom what's going to make my job harder, or just things like that, because it's not something you think about. And so like I think doing this transparency stuff is ultimately healthy for the industry, just because it's helping people that aren't like us, that like pay a lot of attention to certain things, or can understand things a little bit more, just because of how deeply and we watch things or read things or listen to things. But like it just kind of gives an idea of how difficult things might be, and makes it easier to understand. And so, like, the other thing too that I was thinking is, we also don't know how COVID affected their job, when it started to be a bigger deal. There could have been a lot of lost time there that they were making up for now. Which,
while they was the bugs and stuff.
Yeah, which I mean, maybe I wouldn't call that. It was kind of like forced time off. It wasn't an actual vacation or anything. It's different in that way, but at the same time, it's still days that they may have been kind of having to spend days just trying to figure out how they were going to move forward in this different, you know, style of how they would have to work, or like this year I feel like is much easier than most to try to give something like this a pass, because it's just all normalcy is just out the window this year, right? So but like they said, they're being compensated. I would love to get $50,000 for doing something I love anyways.
I would love to get that as a yearly amount
Yeah.
of payment anyway,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And and I think we all can agree that even though they are trying to get this game together, they are being compensated. And at least the president was finally, even after the story broke. I know he probably apologized. I think he said he apologized and was sorry that he knew that he said that we wouldn't do this to our employees. And I think
and
if
who knows
we didn't have.
If there was a normal working environment, maybe this wouldn't have happened, right? Like,
yeah.
But like Jesse said, COVID probably affected so much. I mean, not only theirs, but everybody else's, timelines and stuff. Like, I think a lot of games that are supposed to come out next year are going to be delayed. Like, I think next year is going to be just like a down year of game, not quality of games, but just like the sheer amount of games in general is going to be low next year because of, all this. Like Phil Spencer said in an interview, like they've had to adjust their timelines on certain games too. Anything after, this year is pretty much up in the air at this point on if they make their original release dates or not because of COVID. And I'm fine waiting for great games, right? I really am.
And I think that's
Game
why
Pass gives us so much stuff to go and play that we haven't anyways.
I know, like Game Pass just added Doom Eternal.
160.
Game Pass just added Doom Eternal, Destiny 2. What else did they just add recently?
Play will be added by next console. And
by the way, did you
there's
get
going to be so much stuff.
Did you get the letter from Xbox, by the way, that said that they're turning your EA Play into that? What, like a third of that's going to be added to your Game Pass?
Yeah. I like even Nintendo. Every time they do their mini partner thing, they said that all of this is going to change or anything due to COVID. At least Nintendo is even being upfront. So yeah, Corey, like a lot of games for next year, I think got pushed back because everybody had to change and stuff. And so having this crunch, and I feel like you're right too, Jesse. It changed the work environment. So they gonna have to like delay some things, or it really affected. Like, how do you do crunch?
Lost time.
Right. How do you do crunch if you can't even be in? Because I don't know if they have to go back to the building, to the actual company, or they're crunching from home.
They're probably crunching from home, which makes that even better to me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm getting paid. Right. I'm getting compensated for all this money just to sit at home on my computer. Like, don't get me wrong, sitting at home on your computer all day probably sucks, right? Like, that just probably sucks, but I feel like that they couldn't, if they have to do this, they couldn't be in a better situation. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know.
I think we all could take away from this, at least CD Projekt Red, when they finally talked about it, at least there's some positive light to this. At least their employees are being compensated. They're doing their best to get this game out on time and make sure it's the best quality. There's still going to be patches and everything for it. There might still be some bugs and stuff, but they're trying to work to make sure that this game is right. And from that game being right, the people who are working on this game, they're going to get something out of it.
Yeah.
And it's that being upfront that we are looking for. I think everybody was mad that when the story came out, trying to use what they said in the past, that they wouldn't do it, and that might have been true, But like you said, Jesse, due to COVID, that changed everything. So they probably had to go back on their word. To them, they probably said this sucks, but we have to do what we have to do, and that's a business decision.
Yeah, and not to get political or anything, but I wish this many people would care about the crunch that teachers have to do and get their politicians on trying to actually get funding to these teachers and stuff, because they do a lot of work at home on their own time that they're not getting paid for.
Can I
every day?
Not just teachers, but I mean, not to really get political either, but did you see, I mean, the big story, I'm sure they'll talk about it on Crossroads this week a lot, but the Peter Parker stuff, how they changed his face in Spider-Man. Yeah. Did you see what Yuri Lowenthal tweeted out, the voice of Spider-Man? Did you see what he tweeted out? He's like,
no, I didn't.
He's like, man, I hope you guys are this passionate in November when it's time to vote.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. A lot of people, okay. So
I said I don't care. I don't care what he looks like, but those puddles better look.
Yeah. Oh, somebody else said, who was it? I think it was somebody from Game Informer. It was like, they were like, hey, you guys crying about Peter Parker's face change, you'll finally get those puddles you've been asking for with your tears. Yeah. I'm like, oh
god. That's just a mess.
That's
well,
hilarious.
We're gonna jump into our Boss Rush analysis. We want to skip the other two stories. What happens when a game evolves a genre? Does it lose players or gain them? And kind of, I was thinking of how Breath of the Wild kind of did open world games. It feels like it kind of evolved them in the sense how Resident Evil 4 did the over the shoulder third party kind of action games that a lot of games have like taken now and used. Like, do you think that sometimes when the game gets evolves to a genre, it brings more people to them, or do you think that some people feel like I didn't want this in this genre game, so I'm not just going to play it anymore?
Mm-hmm. For me, like I think it causes an influx. Like you're gonna get a bunch of people that join that maybe play it that weren't really into something before maybe, but I think you also at the same time lose people. I think it's just inevitable. It depends ultimately, I think, on the genre of game, because sometimes too big of a change can lose a lot more than gain. But I think it's kind of an influx. So like you have it may open it up, but you also might lose stuff. I think people as well. Like in the case of Resident Evil, I know a lot of people that there are a lot of people who loved 4 and stuff like that, but there's still I know he's back there.
I know, that's what I'm laughing at.
He's making a bed back there. Yeah. He does that all the time. It's so funny. He just walks around and he scratches at it. But for audio only listeners, the dog was making a nest out of a blanket behind me. But yeah, so like with Resident Evil 4, there are a lot of people that really do love that game, and I feel like they're like it had brought more attention to some people that like the more action-y kind of games, but there were a good amount of people like me that just didn't really feel like it was a Resident Evil game. More than it was just a character, from Resident Evil being put in a different setting.
And I think it was more of the gameplay in the sense that has evolved not just the survival horror genre, but it just affected games in general in the sense, like, of course, Gears or like even God of War and stuff having that over the shoulder kind of look and stuff, and PlayStation kind of took that gameplay. It's just that Resident Evil 4 is, for some people in the modern age, that was kind of the jump off, that this gameplay and this look an idea of gaming what's going to go forward. Now, Resident Evil has changed the first party, and that the first party view is no different. But that first party for the Resident Evil series, as a series, has helped them in everything.
Yeah.
Where like if you look at Breath of the Wild and kind of evolving the open world genre of just letting you straight go in and be free and stuff. It has some limits, but you work to break those limits, and you just seeing how people, how Nintendo allow you in a way to play with physics. And if you can play with physics and break stuff, and it still makes your game work and everything, that's a new kind of experience to think of the open world game. It's because you have open world, then you have sandbox, and sandbox is more kind of like you go point to point from point, and you still have a lot of limited stuff that you could do. Where open world is
it's like Mafia versus Grand Theft Auto, right? Like I think Mafia is more like the sandbox game with objectives inside the sandbox, whereas Grand Theft Auto you can basically do whatever you want, right? Like I mean, sorry, I just was being that guy.
Yeah.
No, I did it to you, Corey. You're right. I apologize.
And I think the thing is too is like a lot of these games that we're bringing up that I don't think I can say the same for Resident Evil. I know sorry to keep going back to that, but I think it's a good example for this point that I think with Breath of the Wild and stuff like that, I feel like there was a much more smoother transaction to going through the years. Like it's kind of slowly evolved into what it has in it, and it hasn't felt like a big like a thorn sticking out of its side, like that. I think that was what my problem with Resident Evil was you went from the whole zombie thing to it just being crazy people, and I feel like there was a game missing between 3 and 4 or whatever that explains much deeper. Like I think they needed to have a whole game that would transition into the zombie stuff turning into the crazy people stuff kind of stuff, and
wasn't
explaining
wasn't that Code Veronica? Wasn't that supposed to be like the in-between game?
No, Code Veronica still had the zombies and stuff.
Yeah, it was
maybe.
I don't know. Yeah. I just know a lot of people consider Code Veronica like the true third game, but I don't really know.
Okay.
With Resident Evil 3 being,
Resident Evil 3 is kind of like the we're kind of still hovering around the 2 timeline.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't really know a lot about lore.
When you think of Halo, how generating health and everything has kind of changed a lot of games to get rid of like not energy bars, but like picking up food, stuff like that. How that kind of evolved not only the first person genre, but like a whole bunch of other different games, and not even give it up to Halo 4 multiplayer going online. How that evolved. First person shooters in general, how we still play that kind of game now and everything.
Well, I mean that helped like be a proving point as to why moving forward consoles having a multiplayer and online connection and all that stuff like was why it was important and why it needed to be something that we started doing moving forward. I mean, I would argue personally that Dreamcast did it first. Like I think they showed us very early that like having an internet connection is like the thing that consoles need to be doing, because PS2 had online and stuff, but it was very, very minimal. And and speaking of Resident Evil, I really wish they would bring back those those games from PS2, what was the whatever
Operation
files.
Raccoon City or whatever.
The whatever
the multiplayer ones.
Yeah, where it was like basically like you played was it 2 or 4 player or something like that,
and
like
you
would go through the and
I think it was Operation Raccoon City, I think, right?
Yeah,
it was the Outbreak files. That's what it was called. Outbreak files. 1 and 2. They had 2 of them.
Can I say one thing about PS2 Online?
Go ahead.
What?
Madden PS2 Online was better than Madden Xbox One Online.
Oh goodness!
Well, dude, almost every
I can't deny
almost every online sport like during that era was better than it is right now, because all those sports games are in such a bad place right now.
What happened? Like the WWE games are not good. Madden is average. It's just like, what happened to these sports games that were so good back in the day, and now they're just like meh or ugh.
Yeah,
I think it's so weird. I just think they need someone that in tech that is better at net coding or something. I feel like they're stuck thinking that they can still do it the same way that they could do it on the PS2, and it's or something.
Where's LeRon when you need him?
Yeah.
Oh, he's in the chat. Never mind. He's in the chat.
I do want to mention also Max Payne with the slow motion, the slow time effect, and Prince of Persia with the
Hitman. The last Hitman's going into what we have now is like that. Like, I didn't really care a whole lot about Hitman until the way they've changed it now has really made it interesting.
With the episodic.
Yeah, where it's more open world.
It was open, yeah.
It's or more of a sandbox than it was more. It's more sandboxy than being linear now, and I think that was like an amazing change that really, really made those games just phenomenal.
And Prince of Persia with the rewind time, how that mechanic is still, in a sense, adding. If you think of replay, like in a sports game, how they took that and actually made it a game mechanic, and how that little thing was used in different games and different genres. We talk about Mario 64 with the analog control, how that really changed just gaming in general. That you wouldn't know that moving a person in a 3D space using an analog would do something like that to create. And now we got, we got the left and right stick, that one controls your character, the other controls the camera, and it's been great to use for people who does it. I think one of the things that we're still kind of worried about is inverting controls for people who like that.
Inverting, yeah.
It's still a here there, no there kind of thing. I'm trying to get the words right. I think a lot of us have really been using the subtitle mode to read games, because sometimes you'll listen to it, you'll be like, what the word are they saying? And you'll read it on the screen and be like, oh, okay, that sounds better. Definitely if you listen to a podcast but you still want to follow the story, you'll know the subtitles on and stuff. Because you, as a gamer, you wasn't thinking about reading or subtitles in games that have voice in it, I should say.
Yeah, with the Bethesda news and all that stuff, there's been, obviously a lot of talk about, Doom and all these things, and this just reminds me of you speaking about watching or listening to something while you're playing, and all this talk about Doom and all that. Recently, I keep on going back to thinking about a very vivid memory. I used to play, I believe it was Doom 3. I'm pretty sure it was Doom 3 when Doom 3 came out. I used to play that game, but I was listening to the Bone Thugs and Harmony, the East 1999 album, and I would just put that on really loud and then turn the sound off on Doom and just listen to that while I'm playing.
How the heck you gonna be shooting demons and you hearing the girl scream out, "It's the Douglas Wreckage Bone"? Yeah. I love that album though. I straight love that album.
Yeah,
I couldn't play Doom. I couldn't play Doom 3. It was so dark on the PC. I'm like, I can't see nothing. I used to turn the brightness up and still couldn't see nothing. I had to uninstall it. I'm like, I can't play this game now. This is not the way to do it. But Douglas Wreckage Bone, when that album came out, man, everybody in North Chicago was bumping it. It don't matter what kind of race you were, you would just hear people's cars going back and forth. And I think we considered it as an album, but it was actually an EP because it's like only I think 7 or 8 songs on there. Corey's just like, I don't know.
No, that was a full. That was a full. It was a full album. There was, I want to say, like 20 tracks.
Are you talking about the first album or the second one?
No, the second one, East 1999.
I thought that was the first one. What was the first
one?
No,
the first one is Creep on the Come Up or something.
Okay, you were right. Okay, so the second one, my apologies. I thought you were talking about the first one because I'm like,
no, the one with Crossroads on it and stuff.
Okay, yeah, everybody was bumping because that had first of the month. And only the hood people knew that. Corey's just like, I don't know.
Corey's like literally they're from Cleveland.
Yeah.
I believe you.
But,
Cleveland is the city where we come from, so run.
Yeah. But any last words on this? Like, I think that when a game evolves a genre, I think that brings in more people with it. And whether it's borrowing elements from other games to help it, if it's done right, you would kind of be like, oh, I'm going to jump into this genre and see what it's all about. And be surprised that it's something that you like. And didn't know that you need it because it had this one little thing to make it better. Corey, any thoughts?
No.
Jesse, any last thoughts?
No, I think we pretty much touched on it.
Yeah,
pretty good.
Okay, well, everybody, that is going to be the show. I do want to say,
already?
Get out there. Yeah, it's already there. Really, you guys get out there. Hopefully, you guys are, if you're campaigning or anything, getting people registered to vote because it's 1 month before voting comes. It is very important that you guys get out there and vote if you're able to. Seeing the stuff that happened this past week, we literally, when people are saying that they needed the Council of Wars to come back after that debate, that speaks a lot. So really, everybody get out there and get ready to vote. You know, this is your right. This is your opportunity to let your voice be heard. So really get out there, get registered. It's very important this year because, let's just say,
and it's, you know, like no matter who you're voting for, just get out there and vote. You know.
Yes. Like I said, do check out Nintendo Power Block for the our Pikmin 3 Deluxe contest. For our Boss Rush book club, we are playing Resident Evil 2 Remake. And if you guys want to play Resident Evil 3 Remake, you can also do that. Talk the Walk debut episode of Gone Home is out there, so do check that out. Check out this week's Nintendo Power Block, Arsenal X, Crossroads. Check out those episodes. There are great discussions about various things that you guys will enjoy. We are getting ready for our History of Mass Effect. That's going to be October 24th. So do get ready for that episode. We got a lot of people coming on to have that discussion. It's going to be a good one. So if you want to refresh yourself, you guys can play Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. If you feel like you want to play Andromeda, you can do that also. But Corey, where can we find you?
You can find me at I am Corey HT on Twitter.
Jesse, where can we find you?
You can find me as Phantom NXS almost everywhere.
You guys can find me on Twitter at that virtual code. You can check out the other podcast apps and check me out on World 11 Podcast on Podbean.com and other podcast apps. Quick note that you guys did mention that Doom Eternal is on Game Pass. A lot of people have been playing. I've been seeing people on my Twitter feed that they actually have jumped into playing this game because I think, like we talked about, Animal Crossing has overshadowed it and everything.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I've kind of wanted to go back and get back into it because I never finished it.
Me neither.
It's fun, but it definitely is much more challenging. Like you're having to kind of reprogram your brain of how you played before because you've got to switch between stuff on the fly like the entire game because you're constantly having to do certain things in order to get ammunition for certain guns and all this and that. So it's definitely learning. Like it's something you've definitely got to reprogram your brain to play properly. But yeah, when it came out, I just wasn't quite ready for that intensity because it brings an intensity for sure.
Oh, and special shout out to LaRon. Thank you for helping me get the Monster Hunter collection from Best Buy. This is my second collection that I have on pre-order because I got the Ori collection on pre-order also.
I'm really surprised they didn't do an Age of Calamity something.
They're doing one in Japan, but not here.
Well, I don't live in Japan, Ed. I live here in America.
I'm ready to put the money down if they did it here. I need that game. Like, I really want to, and I know we're gonna go. I really want to take the box art, download it, and then put it on the poster and send it to my job so it can print out, so I can have a poster of it on my wall. I may have to do that because
you could just order a real poster.
I know, but I could get a discount.
Go to Walmart. Go to Walmart. They got all those little flappy things.
Yeah. Go to.
Well, I think most places still do somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere. Yeah. Walmart does. Toys R Us did.
Yeah.
Toys R Us.
Yeah. Yeah. R.I.P. Toys R Us. They left, and now we have COVID.
Yeah.
They closed, and that was the beginning of a downfall.
It's Jeffrey's fault.
So my Yoshi's Woolly World, if we were still open and I was still working there and we had the Age of Calamity, I would have just sold it. I would just be like, you might as well send another one because I'm taking this home. But everybody, that has been Boss Rush Podcast. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Corey, for joining me. Like I say, everybody, have a great week. Have a great weekend. Whenever you see this. And as always, let's continue to play video games and be better one to another. And with that, everybody, we will see you next time on Boss Rush Podcast. Bye, everybody.
Bye.